Is real estate really for you? Every year in the new year, we get people coming to us saying that this is the year for me. This is the year I want to get into real estate. And people come in for a variety of different reasons. I need to make more money. I want to become rich. I want to take care of my family. I want to provide for my children. I want to free myself from this daily grind that I'm doing. You know, you name it, we've heard it. People come in for all kinds of reasons. But is real estate really the vessel that you want to choose to make these changes? So in this video, I want to talk to you about why you may want to get into real estate and maybe why you shouldn't. So it's a new year, guys. It's 2025, and many of you are coming into this good and strong, heads held high, and with a new vibrato that you want to bring into this year, and that is great. But we want to make sure that we're putting our efforts in the right direction. So I want to talk about whether or not real estate is the right direction. Sometimes I've noticed that people like to say they want to get into real estate because it sounds like it's productive. It sounds like it's the right direction. It sounds like something respectable enough that is going to get you out of whatever circumstance you're trying to get out of or fix the problem that you're trying to address. And people do it in a variety of ways. How many people was it in 2022 that became realtors? Everybody was becoming a realtor. There was disposable income all over the place. People had time. And of course, when the real estate market was booming, everybody became a realtor. But the honest truth about real estate is that it is tough. It is not easy, especially in a challenging market. I mean, we've seen it already happen before where good real estate investors became bad real estate investors and great real estate investors became good real estate investors. There's a lot of people today who are out of the game because they didn't make the cut. So how do we know if real estate is truly for you? The first thing to try to hone in on is how would you even want to get into real estate? Is it with money? Is it with time? Is it with your brain or is it with your brawn? I know people in real estate from all walks of life. There are people who invest in real estate with their money and have no idea how the real estate market even works. There's people I know in construction who saved enough money to just buy one house. They just continuously buy a house, work on it, sell it, move into another one. Very simple stuff. And they are by definition construction guys, arguably in real estate. And then there's salesmen who go out and become realtors, wholesalers, or capital raisers. You need to decide what type of person you are and what skills you want to leverage to be in real estate. Because real estate is not just a money game, it's a skills game, and you have to decide if you are truly ready to play it. The next thing you need to understand is, what can real estate actually do for me? One thing I want you to understand is that investing in real estate will not necessarily make you rich, especially in the short term. It will, however, generate wealth in the long term. A prime example is when we're building, for example, garden suites. You know, like people who are building garden suites are spending a considerable amount of money on that suite. So if you're spending, let's just say, $100,000 to build a garden suite, 150. I've seen people spending a couple $100,000, no problem, right? But I'm talking about, you know, doing it a little bit more on a budget. You rent that out and you're renting it out for $1,500, $2,000 a month. It's gonna take you years, like 7 years to make that money back in many cases. And the problem is that you get people who are talking about stocks seeing much higher returns. But the thing is that when I hear people also talk about the stocks saying, hey, I made 30% on my money, and I ask them how much money they spent or they invested, they say they invested $2,000. They make good returns percentage-wise, but the thing is that there's not as much faith in some of those alternate methods, and that's why they don't invest as much money. But with real estate, you can't cut that many financial corners. You need a certain amount of money to be able to play from an investor's perspective. And if you can't stomach that or you're unwilling to do that, maybe you want to get into service. Service in real estate has a lower barrier of entry and is much more attainable. We talk about this one all the time, but a good one and an easy one to get into, easy being a relative term, is property management. Property managers get connected with all kinds of real estate investors, big ones, small ones, all of them owning rental properties, and some really great way to connect with people who will eventually be okay to invest with you in your future projects. The only thing about it is that it is inherently a difficult and challenging profession. Not that it's competitively difficult, it is difficult from the perspective of work. Unlike arguably being a realtor where the work is a lot cleaner, very white glove, but because of the competition, it is very challenging. When I do see people get into real estate in one fashion or the other and they are unhappy, it's very often because they chose an avenue within real estate that was against their nature. They either weren't natural salesmen, they didn't like having to compete to the degree that other people were competing. Or when it comes to investors investing, they didn't want to have to stretch themselves so much, and they ended up taking out more debts than they could afford to, essentially making them bad investors or not really following their gut intuition or the sensibilities. They were making brash decisions. And then that stress is something that you carry with you, because ultimately most of the things in real estate, most of the professions in real estate are entrepreneurial. You're self-employed in many cases, or if predominantly a self-employed industry where that stress stays with you. And if you're not that type of person who is okay to stomach all this, then real estate might not be for you. But now, if you're the type of person who likes to bet on yourself, who's willing to double down, and failure is not an option, there's a lot of room for you in real estate. There are so many things that you can do, because that is really what is required for real estate investors or real estate professionals to succeed. There is no yellow brick road in real estate. You have to create your own path. And if you're unable to do that, a lot of people go through the entire education system not realizing that the whole thing is actually a yellow brick road. It leads you towards a job and stability, where in real estate, it is absent of that in entirety. There are no roads in real estate, just houses. In order to succeed, you have to change a lot of things, and some people won't feel so comfortable with. One of the things that's very common, and if you already are a real estate investor, you'll probably resonate with this, is that your circle ends up changing, the people you hang out with. That's another thing. You have to get obsessed with what it is that you're doing, otherwise you can't succeed, because the competition is high, but the rewards are even higher. If you're not hanging around with people who sleep, eat, and breathe this stuff, it is going to be challenging for you to really get ahead. You can do it as a side thing, and that's okay. If you know this about yourself and you want to do this as a side thing, that is great. You understand something about yourself and you can operate like that. At least you know where it is you're going to start and where it is you're going to plateau, because that is what's going to happen. But if you want to really shoot yourself up and propel yourself forward in real estate, and you have the attitude and the correct mindset for this, and you want to really buckle down and get along with people who are like-minded, who are like you, and willing to really make these changes in order to propel themselves to the next level, which means you're going to leave some people behind, because true change requires saying goodbye to your old life in order to welcome into the new life. And that sometimes is not okay with a lot of people. Some people are not willing to let go of the past. Some people are not willing to let go of friends, family, or people that are just gonna hold you where you are, because they don't want to see you go. They don't want to see you change, at least not in the drastic way that you may be looking for. And these people won't always be obvious. You see, a lot of people are going to want to say that they want to see you succeed, but they won't want to see you do better than them. So in order to succeed in an industry like this, you're going to have to make some changes. And if you're willing to do that, the grass is definitely greener on the other side. And if you feel like you're down for the hustle, like this video, subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you very soon.